Okay, so it's evening in Australia, so wherever you are, hope you're doing well. It's been a little while since I've done the video, but had other things keeping me occupied. So let's give you a bit of a preview of where we're up to. Just set this camera up a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. There we go. So there's the base coat on the top colour, which is the knife colour ocean grey, and I did put a little bit of light. I did lighten a few panels to just trying a couple of things, but you can see that came out just fine. And the bit on the side I was worried about self-leveled, so it was all good. So what I want to do now is lighten up the panels on the plane, and I do want to make them fairly light because I'm going to do a bit of oil paints and weathering and stuff on them since I've got a bit more time. So to get started with that, we'll go back to using our base colour. It's ocean grey. So that's about 22 drops there, if you keep and count. Always remember to clean the edges of your jars before you put them back together. I'll save a lot of problems with them sticking later. Okay, I need to lighten this up a bit as well. So somewhere here I've got some white, I think. I hope I have. It should be here somewhere. There it is. So I'll just put a bit of this Ammo MIG matte white. Okay, so that's 6 drops, so we're up to about, what, 28. Now I'm going to add some of this Ammo MIG transparator, which is just like the binder without any pigment. I'll put 3 of those in. It's around about 30, aren't we, at this stage? Now we've got our life colour thinner, which I've decanted in this bottle because it's easier, and it's got a little bit of air flow aid in it as well. That's roughly 30 drops to get us started. And I think for good measure, we might also add a little flow aid. And by that I mean this one here, which is the Vallejo one, which I sort of use as a supplement for when I'm trying to do very detailed work, where you get the most tip dry. Don't want to get too crazy with it though. It was 5 drops, which is probably a couple more than I needed. That should be okay. All right. So at this point, we'll just give this a stir and see what we got. Okay, the colour's nice and light, no problem there. The paint would be fine for spraying if I just wanted to put it on as a base coat. But I'm going to keep thinning it down a bit more than that because I want it to be basically a little bit translucent, so I can sort of build up the coats to where I want them to be, and also so the airbrush can spray this very easily without clogging at low pressure. We're nearly there. So this is going to be about 70 drops of thinner, 80 drops of thinner, somewhere around that. Quite thin. Yep, I think we'll give that a go and see how we work. Alright, so that's the paint. Let's turn on the airbrush, on the spray booth. switch you over. There we go, you can see the let's try and move that camera a little bit. And I think the airbrush I'm going to use on this one is my little Tamiya, which is a 0.2 needle. Would be a better choice for this job. Before I start spraying the model though, what we might do is just do a bit of a test run, see if we can dial in the air pressure. So for this effect we just want it to be very light, so you can see I'm just building it up there. I'm getting quite close, which is what I want. And we can see what that looks like. We'll start with the spraying okay. It's not as light as I'd hoped. I don't know if that's coming up on the camera very well. I might just try a panel and see if it's just it is a little bit lighter. You can just see it, but it's not light enough. So I'm going to have to play with our paint a bit more. So let's add more white. Alright, let's try that again. I think you can see the effect coming through. Yep. So Okay, so there's our weathered panel. A bit trickier to do with acrylic paints than with lacquers. But it's certainly doable, as you can see. With smaller panels like these round panels, I'm just trying to highlight them a bit lighter than the surrounding panel. Off camera, I've just got a bit of paper towel, and every now and then I just open up the airbrush and spray it a bit more strongly just to make sure I'm not getting dry tip. I'm not worried about trying to get this camouflage or this weathering on specific parts of the plane where the camouflage will be showing, because I'm not sure where they are and I couldn't be bothered trying to find out. It makes things too complicated for me, so I just do this technique to all the panels, even though realistically half of them are going to lose it, and then the other colour goes on. You don't have to get it in the first go. You can let the paint dry a little bit, see what it looks like, and then you can go back and put a bit more on if you need. If you're worried about overdoing it, then you just let it dry and just put the original base coat down again and have another go. Typically though, this will look more extreme now because we don't have any weathering on it, and we also don't have any varnish on it. And the varnish really does act as a does kind of act like a filter, I guess, and tones it all down and sort of blends it a bit. So if it looks a little bit extreme at this point, it doesn't matter too much. You can see the wing, the top there I've done, bottom one I haven't. It's a bit subtle. I mean, it won't look overwhelming at all, and that's fine because I don't really like that look. But if you want to make a really sort of stressed, older, worn plane, you just could use this technique and just go over these panels again with a little bit more white paint added to your mix, and sort of add a few different varieties of colour. The big thing I'm trying to avoid is making it circular, like the paint itself finish on the model. I don't want it to look like I've just gone splot with the airbrush. It kind of gives the game away a bit. So you will see me go back in places and touch up bits where I can see that looks a bit too obvious that I've done that. I'm also not trying to make it look identical on both sides. Just very gently managing the air pressure on the trigger until I get it looking where I want it. Because I'm putting so little paint on, I just can play with the trigger a bit and build it up as I go. Until I get it where I want it. I'll move on to the next panel, give that last panel a chance to dry a bit, and I can see whether I want to go back and do any more work on it. You can do this with a 0.3 or a 0.35 needle as well, and it will work, but it is unquestionably it is easier with a finer needle like a 0.2, so if your budget stretches to an airbrush with a 0.2, this is a good spot to use it. I don't typically use 0.2 unless I'm doing some detail work. I know some modelers use it as their main airbrush, but I find it just too fine a spray for 148, and some of the other models I do like Spitfire and things like that. Okay, so there's our second one. I'm just going to do the aileron. Just trying to make it look a little bit worn, or weathered, sorry. Used, if you like, for the sun bleach. This was not a new plane by the time these guys would have got it. Now for the tail, because we're going to be dealing with some fabric here, I'm going to try and get it inside the ridges. So there's one side done. Well, I suppose I haven't done up here, actually. I'll take that back. The transparenter, by the way, makes this a lot easier to do with acrylic paints, I think, than if you're just using thin acrylic paint, which doesn't behave particularly well, not as well as lacquer paints do when they're thin. Alright, there we go. So there's the side. And you can see it looks quite a little bit more sort of sun bleached. But again, that'll tone down a little bit once we've started doing more weathering, and also you've got the contrasting camouflage colour to go on yet. I'll just do the other side. Doesn't really matter what pattern you have, as long as it doesn't look circular, basically. Try to avoid making it look circular if you can. Because it becomes too obvious you've used an airbrush when it's circular. Did it there a bit. Let's come back in and fix that. There we go. That's fixed. I'm just going to drain my water filter thing here. To make sure I've got no water in the airbrush line since I'm spraying quite a bit. Get water on your mold, that's a bit of an emotional moment. Ruins your paint work. One of the tricks I've learned over the last few years is that if you can put some tonal variety into your model, it just looks more realistic to the human eye when it's finished, because we're used to seeing lots and lots of colours on large objects with the light and the different surfaces reflecting differently and different wear and tear, and it doesn't, if their models look uniform, they just don't quite have that look that we expect. Our eyes just sort of kind of knows it's fake, even if they've never seen a Spitfire in real life, because things aren't reflecting and looking like they should. The trick, I think, is to do it in a way where it's not excessive. Right. There's our other side. And we've just got the tail to do now. Okay. So that's the way that I do the various panels. I've just got a bit of water on there from the air, from that's okay. The paint's dried enough that will be fine. I can fix that. So don't need to worry about that wing. I'll just let it dry. So anyway, gives you an idea what it looks like now, and that'll leave that to dry overnight, and then we can look at putting the camouflage on. Now the other thing that I said I would do in the next video, which is of course this one now, was paint some parts with primer, and I've got them already prepared there. And the reason I was going to do the priming on camera is to show you this, which is VMS's new range of polyurethane style primer. So this isn't a lacquer primer, but it does behave, I have to say, an awful lot like a lacquer type primer. It's got coverage for plastic, resin, 3D printing in metal, according to the box. I haven't had an opportunity to use it on resin or metal, so I can't answer to that, but I have used it on the plastic and it's very good. Probably one of the strengths of this particular product for a lot of people is this comes pre-thinned in the bottle, so you don't have to go and thin it. Most acrylic acrylic primers you do have to end up mixing them and thinning them yourself because they come out of the bottle too thick for most people's airbrushes. VMS also makes claim that this will work with 0.2 needles as well. So since we've got an airbrush that we've been using already, that's a 0.2, why don't we give that a go and see if that is true. Also, just to mention, this has got a ball bearing in it as well, which is kind of cool. So I'm just going to quickly empty out my airbrush. I won't give it a proper clean, I'll just get out of what's in there now, because it was pretty thin anyway. Okay, this does come in a very handy sort of nozzle for pouring, which is handy. As I said, I'm very tired, sorry, I'm saying the same thing twice. It's handy because it's easy to pour, that's what I'm trying to say. So it's not something you're going to likely spill on all over your airbrush or something. Okay, so I'll just put that on camera so you can see. You can see there. So you can see there, it's very liquid, so it's, I think the claim that it doesn't need thinning is a reasonable claim. Just cleaning it. The actual cap, by the way, so you get this clear cap, and it has a thread, so you can just turn it and lock it in place. So if you knock the bottle over, you should be okay. Now, earlier on, I did do this propeller, but it was a bit of a rush job, so I'm actually going to have another crack at it. But I thought I'd use the primer on this one because it's going to be very easy for you to see on camera, which will help. I'll try zooming in a little bit for you as well. That might make it easy for you to see what I'm doing as well. Okay, let's have a go. Oops, we're spinning. Don't need that. As far as how it behaves very like a lacquer primer. It's struggling a little bit with this 0.2. But we did get there. So, whoops, put on camera would help. There you go. It self-levels really nicely, by the way, so you don't have to be too gentle with it. You're more worried about getting your coverage. It'll self-level fine later. Let's try, just going to adjust my air pressure a bit here. Okay, so let's try doing the exhaust stacks here and see how we go. These are just plastic, I haven't put any prime on them before. Appreciate it's a bit hard to tell because the plastics are very similar colour to the primer, but if I bring that up to the camera you can see I've got total coverage there. And just compare that with the one I haven't painted so you can see the difference a bit more clearly. I think the camera will go in focus, there you go. So the one on the right hasn't been painted, one on the left has been. And as you saw, I didn't have to be delicate with it. It's not required to get you just need to get a good cover, so we'll do this one. It's easy as that. Done. Put that aside and that'll dry. As far as when you can paint with this stuff too, they're saying in the instructions that the paint can be applied after 2 hours of natural drying or after 30 minutes of speed drying, which is effectively, I guess using your hairdryer or something like that, or if you're in a warm climate, putting it out in the sun. The small parts like this, it's very nice. It sprays really nice. It works exceptionally well for that. So if you want to, I guess what's the pros and cons with this that I've found so far? I kind of prefer a slightly lighter grey than that. I think there is one, but I haven't got that. It's very easy to use because it's pre-thinned. You don't have to think about it, which means priming's a lot quicker and easier to do. It's quite resilient, it sands well. I don't have an example to show you of sanding just right now, but you have to take my word for that. But the actual product behaves very similar, both in spraying and in handling, like a lacquer primer. The advantage, of course, is that it's not. So it's better for your health. It doesn't smell like some primers do, which is definitely another advantage of it. Self-levels very nicely as well. So it ticks, as far as I can tell, and I haven't tried it with metal and resin, but for plastic at least, it ticks all the boxes. It does everything that a primer is supposed to do very nicely. I think it'd be a very good primer for figures too, by the way, if you do figure painting, or just, figures for your dioramas and things. I think it would be very good for that because it's quite thin and the coverage is reasonably good. And as you can see, I'm not having to spend a great deal of time having to play around trying to get it to go on. The only downside to this product really that I can see at this point, I've had it for about a month, is it is a little bit more expensive than some of the others when you consider that you're not thinning it down like the normal primers I would buy. By the time I thin them, I'm probably, I don't know, getting somewhere around a third to a half again of the bottle because of the thinner I add. So I'm not obviously getting that advantage here. The other thing would be availability. This is a Polish company. I can buy them locally in Australia, but I do tend to buy them from directly from the manufacturer in Poland, and their freight rates to Australia are quite reasonable. Unfortunately, with the world the way it is at the moment with the US tariffs, if you're in the US, it's probably not as affordable as it might otherwise be. You'll have to wait till that sort of nonsense is sorted. But if you're outside the US, delivery seems to be quite reasonable, and VMS have a lot of other really good products. So hopefully in future videos I'll have the opportunity to share with you some of those products, because they do have some really nice weathering products for modelling and pigments and things like that. Anyway, I'll just put that back in frame. So there's all the parts done for now. No problem at all. They'll be ready for me in the morning when I'm going to do some detail painting. Just another quick overview. There's where we got to with the plane. You can see there that it's dried now. And it's a slight water stain there from when I got the water on. I'm about to fix that up with some paint. But basically, that will be allowed to dry overnight. And then tomorrow, or when we come to our next video, I will be adding the mask and taking you through how I'm going to do that and put the other colour on. So that's it for this one. Thanks very much for joining me as always, and hope you found something useful in it, and I'll catch you on the next video.